Hello, I'm Mauricio-José Schwarz, and this is From the Outside. This is a very short video with a very simple message. America, give up guns. I didn't say give up your guns. I said give up guns, as in give up your addiction, your terrible addiction to guns. I am not someone who is completely against guns. I understand that in some cases you have the right to have a weapon to defend yourself and your family, especially if you're surrounded by a negative environment. But that is different from what is happening in the United States today. You have 300 million weapons in private hands. How many more do you need? You will kill yourselves from an overdose. You are killing yourselves and your children from an overdose of this drug called weapons and weapon culture. You don't have to give up all your weapons, but you could give up weapons which are built and intended for war, for combat situations, for situations where no reasonable human being in a civilized society will find him or herself ever. This is not going to happen. You will not need to become a bit player in Mad Max in any reasonable future soon. Many countries have laws that allow people to have weapons. They're only trying to be reasonable about it. If you want to have a car and you want to drive a car, it's okay. It is your right. But you have to go through a test. You have to prove that you're physically and mentally fit to drive a car. And then you have to register your car. So in case you hit someone or something, we will be able to know who was the culprit and therefore get you. Exactly what you do with your cars is what you should do with your weapons. You should let small children drive. You shouldn't let small children have weapons. You shouldn't have a tank. You shouldn't have an intercontinental ballistic missile in your backyard. I know there are some interpretations of the Second Amendment, which is, remember, an amendment, an afterthought. There are some interpretations that say you can have an intercontinental ballistic missile in your backyard. But is it reasonable? We have had rights that we have curtailed in the past. When we found out, we noticed, we accepted that those rights were being more harmful than beneficial. For instance, we used to have the right to own people. It was called slavery. And as a society, as a species, we have found out this was not a good idea. And although slavery was a tradition for thousands of years, by the end of the 19th century, we got rid of slavery in most of the world. We used to have the right to take people's property away if we had the might. Might makes right, we used to say. But now we have laws to guarantee the safety of your property, your personal property. We used to have the right to kill all the bison we wanted. We killed millions upon millions of bisons just because it was cool to shoot bisons. Now we can't do that. We took that right away from ourselves because it was good for us. Not only for the bisons, but it was also good for our environment, which is where we get our food, water, and air from. So we moderated that right. We changed it. Sometimes we have forsaken rights completely. The right to marry off our daughters or sons, deciding by ourselves who they should marry. In many places we think are civilized, we have done away with that right and turned that right over to our sons and daughters who will decide who they want to marry. Bearing weapons is a right in the United States. I will not argue that. I will argue that it is a right you have to curb, you have to change, you have to moderate. Not because of any philosophical reason, not because of any interpretation of law, not because in other countries citizens don't kill their citizens at the amazing rate that the United States does it, especially in what we call the developed world. Just do it for the children. The children are telling you, this is not a good idea. Yes, we know that if someone is determined to get a weapon and kill someone, they will do it. But that's the extreme case. If that same person cannot get a war-grade weapon and only get a small weapon, he will kill less people. Follow me. You will not solve this problem completely. No problem is 100% solvable, especially overnight. But you can do things in a way that less people are killed, especially less children. If you want to build a world, a future for your children, it is necessary to have the children first and to have them safe and to take care of them. So, as I said, this is very simple. I don't even have a script for this. America, give up guns. They're killing.